that day they brought us to meet with, we met with the high risk doctor, and we met with a geneticist or a genetic counselor who tried to explain to us,
what it was.
The genetic counseling would be a good idea for us moving forward because it could be caused by a genetic disorder. We did eventually find out that it was not caused by a genetic disorder, but we probably that week, if not that day, were given the option to terminate the pregnancy. And we both just felt like we wanted to let this little life be whatever God wanted it to be. So, and we continued to get advice from some physicians at our church. There's a wonderful doctor who worked at Northwestern who was in geriatric palliative care, and he gave us some advice about how to proceed. And since we didn't want to terminate the pregnancy, how to treat Joey after he was born. And we also, through a friend, met with I think a pediatric neurosurgeon.
He's worked on this condition on these babies.
Pediatric neurosurgeon. And he just really did explain to us about the quality of life that children have with alobar holoprosencephaly. He explained to us that especially the alobar type wouldn't really never walk or talk. And there are some parents who go through a lot of surgeries with their children. We found out that a lot of the children will always need a feeding tube, a breathing tube, and have hundreds of seizures a day. So a lot of those things played into our decision making about just allowing God to do whatever he wanted through Joey's life. We decided not to terminate, but not to prolong his life at all.
And I remember walking into a room of 10 doctors, all with their white jackets on, and some of the best minds in the room. Kind of
world.
But they were all looking to us to help decide the birth plan, and the palliative care post birth. It was actually fairly daunting in experience, yet at the same time, what it taught me was we have some of the best minds in the room that really didn't have good answers of what to do. I mean, at some point, everyone threw up their hands and go, we don't know what causes this. We don't know how to really fix it. And we're looking to you to make decisions on what to do between now and birth and then post-birth. And so it was daunting in that it was very weighty on us, mixed with, we get some voices of, reason and counsel from that team. But at the end of the day, it was kind of in our hands of what to do. And Katherine and I would say part of the thing was we start looking to, I went home and Googled right away and start Googling everything, which is good and bad, of course. It's pretty bad at the end of the day, but we wanted to understand the condition. And as Katherine said, we decided, we weren't going to take control of whatever God was doing in this. We weren't going to take his life, and we weren't going to prolong it. And we were very affirmed in that decision. They were shocked. I mean, I think the look on their faces was disbelief, because I think they could, from a birthing place, a place that does tons of births a day, the doctors couldn't quite get their heads around, like, why would you carry this to term? Why would you carry this baby through and actually birth it when it's a death sentence? So every meeting was that much more weighty and difficult, and it was filled with tears and anxiety and questions and prayer and counsel. But at the end of the day, Katherine and I both felt it took time to get here, but we eventually got on the same page about, hey, we're not going to do many interventions. Most families that would carry a baby with holoprosencephaly to birth, I researched the oldest baby with holoprosencephaly made it to 14 years old. Yeah, alobe are ultimately they're vegetables. They live in a, on a machine in wheelchairs and don't speak or barely move. So yeah, we literally kind of went like this and just kind of surrendered to whatever God was going to do with our little baby Joey. And it was for a guy who likes black and white and doesn't love a lot of gray, it was a lot of uncertainty for many, many months.
I don't like uncertainty.
Well, that was probably the most challenging period.
It was. And it felt like, well, I realized once I felt like we were grieving. We were grieving what Joey's life would have been. But then we were able to actually meet him. So yeah, it was interesting. I realized like the pregnancy was a lot more of an anxious time. Still a sad time, but very anxious because we didn't know what would happen. And then after he was born and passed away 2 weeks later, then I feel like we were actually able to start grieving.
Yeah.